Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing, Inc.
Venezuela suspends oil delivery to some Caribbean countries. That's our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Wednesday, June 13. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Nicole Best. Good evening. Venezuela's PDVSA is suspending petroleum deliveries to some Caribbean countries under its Petro-Carib agreement. A Venezuelan oil ministry report said the move comes as a result of falling crude production and low refinery utilization. Under the Petro-Carib agreement, Venezuela sells petroleum to Central America and Caribbean nations on favorable terms. But according to the oil ministry report, PDVSA is indefinitely suspending refined product deliveries to 8 of the 17 countries that are covered under the agreement: Antigua and Barbuda, Belize, Dominica, El Salvador, Haiti, Nicaragua, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and St. Kitts and Nevis. PDVSA says it will continue to supply refined products in June to Cuba. Cuba is one of the countries that has most benefited from the Petro-Carib agreement. Venezuela started the arrangement in 2005 with Antigua and Barbuda, Bahamas, Belize, Cuba, Dominica, Grenada, Haiti, Honduras, Jamaica, Nicaragua, Dominican Republic, St. Kitts Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Suriname and Guyana, which later pulled out. The governor of the Cayman Islands, Anwar Kodroy, has been suspended from his post pending the outcome of investigations by the United Kingdom's Foreign and Commonwealth Office into a number of complaints against him. He's currently in the UK and the investigation is likely to last at least 6 weeks. In a brief statement issued on Wednesday morning, Premier of the British Overseas Territory, Alden McLaughlin, said Minister of State for the Overseas Territories, Lord Ahmad, had formally advised him on Tuesday night of Kodroy's temporary withdrawal from the post. The 59-year-old Kodroy is an Bangladeshi-born British diplomat who was sworn in as governor in March of this year. Premier McLaughlin said Lord Ahmad insisted that no further details could be provided at this stage and indicated that the Foreign and Commonwealth Office did not intend to make a public statement on the matter. He added that while the development was unforeseen and most unfortunate, he was confident that it would not affect the continued good governance of the Cayman Islands. During the period of Kodroy's suspension, suspension, Deputy Governor Franz Manderson will act as governor. Jamaica's National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang has outlined a 5-point crime plan that the government hopes will help address the high levels of lawlessness in the country. The plan was unveiled during his contribution to the selectoral debate in the House of Representatives on Tuesday afternoon. There have been multiple calls for the government to come up with a crime plan, and the Andrew Holness-led administration is confident it finally has a strategy that can tackle the high levels of crime. We get more in this TVJ News report.
So what exactly is the government doing? In a nutshell, a repackaging of the 5-pillar anti-crime strategy. In a roughly 2-hour speech in the House on Tuesday, National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang said emphasis will be placed on public order and law enforcement, tackling gangs and corruption, social intervention measures, and transforming the police force. Specifics: first up, the Traffic and Highway Patrol Division and the Motorized Patrol Division will become one, dubbed the Public Safety and Traffic Management Branch. Here's what it will do.
Roving response not only of motor vehicles but of motorcycles to allow for rapid response in sufficient numbers to critical situations. There will be teams that will concentrate primarily on breaches of public order that threaten citizens' safety, such as vending outside of designated areas on the sidewalks, etc., and in public parks. team that can focus on the legal occupation of public space, and teams that can focus on safety along major thoroughfares.
The proceeds of Crime Act and anti-gang laws will also be strengthened to take the profit out of crime and help in dismantling criminal gangs. A national coastal radar system will be implemented to monitor the coastline to, among other things, decrease the flow of illegal guns, drugs and ammunition. On the social intervention side of things, music, sports and technology will be used to steer young people from a life of crime. As for the welfare of police personnel, steps are being taken to ensure those injured in the line of duty are taken care of.
The Permanent Secretary and the Commissioner will be in charge to work along with the Ministry of Health and the University Hospital of the West Indies to establish a protocol during this financial year that any police officer get injured on the job will be taken care of at any public health institution they attend to, without question or fear. If the bill has to be paid after, then so let it be. The Ministry of Natural Resources will do so, but they cannot be injured on the job and go to hospital and start worrying about how they're going to be treated.
The state will also provide financial assistance to police personnel charged with a crime while lawfully doing their jobs. Meanwhile, with reports of questionable people getting gun licenses at the Firearm Licensing Authority,
during the financial year, FLA will introduce online tracking for firearm application. Additionally, the agency will acquire a bullet tracks marking machine to improve the authorities' capacity to capture bullet signatures.
And over in Barbados, former Culture Minister Stephen Lashley says the new budget announced by Prime Minister Mia Mottley is regressive and will have immediate negative impact on the lives of Barbadians. At a media brief on Tuesday, Lashley, whose Democratic Labour Party failed to garner a seat in last month's general elections, said the most onerous measure is that of a new fuel tax, which is designed to replace the National Social Responsibility Levy and the road tax. He said while in the past road tax was paid based on vehicle tonnage, the new tax would be spread across the board and low-income earners would be most affected.
That particular move by the government is indeed unfortunate because of the tremendous impact, both the intended impacts and the unintended consequences of replacing the road tax with a tax on diesel and fuel. Now, the tax, of course, which the Barbados Labour Party has announced in the budget, we believe will negatively impact transportation costs across Barbados. And in particular, you would have already heard the cries from the minibus owners, because that particular tax will have a negative impact on the cost of public transportation. And we believe that, of course, there will be consequences in relation to fares that are being charged currently. We believe it will also have consequences for the Transport Board as well in relation to the cost of running the Transport Board.
Donville Innes, former Minister for International Business, Commerce and Small Business Development, former Agriculture Minister Dr. David Eswick, and DLP candidate Verla De Pisa were also at the media brief. Innes said the society would have to reflect on how the taxes would impact their activities.
That is going to have an immediate impact, not just upon households in terms of reducing their disposable income, but also on businesses. And businesses, micro, small, medium, and large enterprises, who certainly are now going to have to be faced with a higher transportation costs across the board. And that naturally will have to be passed on to someone, namely called the consumer.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Mottley is adamant that the burden of rebuilding the economy must be shared by all. She was the featured speaker at the annual general meeting of the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association on Wednesday. In her budget presentation on Monday, the Prime Minister announced an airline travel and tourism development tax, as well as a room levy on hotel rooms, a 2.5% product development levy on direct tourism services, and a 10% tax on shared economy accommodations such as Airbnb, HomeAway, and Expedia. She told the BHTA on Wednesday that an egg has to be broken to make an omelette.
The incidence of taxation and the incidence of user fees has to be broadly shared. There's no easy way to make an omelette. We don't feel it because we don't feel that the eggs got feelings. But there's no easy way to make an omelette. And if we want to transition this country to be the best that it can be, to be able to leverage fully its value proposition, which is what? What is our value proposition? It's our people, and it's our quality of life. It has always been, and on 166 square miles of land, it shall always be.
Motley says Barbados' tourism product will suffer if the interests of the people are not adequately taken care of.
But when our people are suffering, or when our people become the victims of despair and hopelessness, or when our people don't have the opportunity for or the prospect for employment in the near future, or leave school and for 5, 6, 7 years do not have jobs, then our tourism product will never be able to extract the best of what this country has to offer. And our simple role here is to be that bridge and to be able to be that balancer, because we believe that we can do better.
The Prime Minister said her government had to take control of the country's economic trajectory by recognizing that it had to stop the fiscal bleeding. She says that by spreading the weight, there would be no recessionary impact on the total economy because some of the burden will be carried by people living outside of Barbados.
We've also put measures in place that will inevitably see an expansion of spend. Public servants have not gotten money for 8 years. Pensioners have been getting below that which they need to keep a pace with inflation. But what do we ask others to do? That as we do it, let us also carry some weight.
Prime Minister Motley was scheduled to leave the island later on Wednesday for Washington, D.C. to meet with the International Monetary Fund and the IMF. She will be accompanied by Governor of the Central Bank, Stephen Haynes, and 2 other economic advisors. Housing Minister George Payne will act as Prime Minister in her absence. And still to come in Caribbean Newsline, immigration officers in St. Lucia say their work environment is literally making them sick. The details of that story and more after the break.
It starts from sunrise, a city filled with an island vibe, music, people, color, friendship, culture, and the warmest of smiles. Come enjoy the unique costumes, pulsating steel pans, exotic culture, exciting fetes, and unforgettable people. Discover Antigua's Carnival, the Caribbean's greatest summer festival, July 27th to August 8th, because the beach really is just the beginning.
Follow your heart to the 22nd Annual St. Kitts Music Festival from June 27th to July 1st, 2018. Featuring Kester Band, Sizzler Lungi, Small Axe Band, Nyla Blackman, and Betty Watt. Also, Patti LaBelle, Dijon, New Vibes International, Rhythm of the Beat, and Wayne Wonder. Fight, August Alsina, Aishona, Byron Messiah, Dasha, Shaka Dimas, and Pliers, and Miss Lauren Hill. Save the date and book now for the 22nd Annual St. Kitts Music Festival, an experience like no other.
Welcome back. In St. Lucia, several immigration officers at the Huanora International Airport have been reporting sick, and they're blaming their work conditions. According to the Police Welfare Association, the officers have been complaining of itchy skin, respiratory problems and black marks on their bodies. President of the organization, Travis Chicot, says the authorities had been made aware of the situation about a month ago. He said he did not know how many officers were involved, but he said they are hoping the problem caused by fiberglass particles in the air would have been addressed. Chicot says the Police Welfare Association does not usually advise workers to take protest action, but he says the workers have reached a boiling point. He told reporters that although efforts were made to address the issue, the problem persists. Members of the LGBT community in Trinidad and Tobago have hit back at religious leaders for calling on government to maintain laws that recognize marriage as being between a man and a woman only. The group, which goes by the name CAISO, Sex and Gender Justice, described the call as a step backwards and says the religious bodies are focusing on the wrong thing. We get more in this report from Nika Pasinal of TV6 News.
With so many other issues plaguing Trinidad and Tobago, the coalition advocating for the inclusion of sexual orientation says religious leaders are focused on the wrong thing. Speaking on TV6's Morning Edition program, Executive Director Colin Robinson said there are more pertinent issues on the table.
And they were claiming that this was some sort of new national problem, this fluid gender thing. That's the language that they kept using all over and over again. They were talking about crime or guns or the economy or traffic or flooding, even Muslim radicalization. They were talking about fluid gender.
Robinson's reaction follows these comments made by religious leaders who held a press conference on Monday.
We want to encourage the parliamentary agenda for September 2018 to amend the Marriage Act to define marriage as between one biological man and one biological woman.
The marriage is between a male and a female. And I will support my colleagues here in doing whatever we could to ensure that nature's law prevails.
The press conference united religious leaders who had previously criticized each other on issues of child marriage and the age of consent. However, LGBTQIA groups have maintained that, so far, they haven't even attempted to alter the marriage laws, as they're still battling for more basic human rights.
Why say I can't be protected like other people from employment discrimination based on something about me, or discrimination in school, or being thrown out of where I live because of faith leaders' panics or concerns?
Robinson says it's unfortunate to see that after a landmark judgment was handed down, allowing gay men a bit more freedom in their private lives just a few months ago, measures are being put in place to stop the progression of an inclusive society.
Tourism aviation officials representing 28 Caribbean countries are gathered in the Bahamas this week to discuss new ideas to spark an increase in airlift into the region. This is the third annual Caribbean Aviation Meetup. We get the details in this ZNS Network News report.
Local, regional, and international leaders in the aviation and tourism sectors are participating in the Caribbean Aviation Meetup at the Atlantis Paradise Island Resort this week. Over the next 2 days, they will be focusing on the challenges and opportunities airlift poses to their respective countries, with a view of providing solutions to enhance the aviation sector. With the latest exit study showing that the average expenditure of cruise ship visitors is $70 as opposed to over $1,000 for air visitors, Tourism Minister, the Honorable Dionisio de Aguilar, says a focus on airlift is pivotal for the country to succeed in tourism. He noted that the topics chosen for the conference are timely.
Passenger and tourism taxation is, in my view, well chosen for the forum. It goes to the very heart of the matter. The level of passengers and tourism taxes directly impacts whether a destination's air arrivals grow or falter. Competitive pricing combined with powerful promotion increases tourism growth. They go hand in hand. At the Bahamas Ministry of Tourism, we incorporate this mantra into the way we promote tourism.
Minister de Aguilar also revealed this morning that a passenger facility tax may be levied on visitors in the future.
Our goal is to implement a taxation level that is reasonable and does not in any way impede tourism growth. Air excess has been a vexing issue for several islands of the Bahamas, other than Nassau, Paradise Island, or Grand Bahama. Yet there is still a gaping need for same-day, scheduled airlift access from Nassau to key out-island or Bahamas Family Island destinations. We will call upon Bahamas Air and possibly other airline stakeholders to look at how they could assist us in resolving this issue.
And ahead in Newsline Sport, Windies eye a series win as they go into the second of 3 test matches against Sri Lanka.
To combine a vacation with pure laughter? Then St. Martin is the place to be on June 22nd and 23rd for the 14th annual edition of its comedy festival, Laugh Till Belly Burst, with comedians from all over the world. Book hotel and show tickets until June 20th now at www.ltbbsxm.com.
Well, all right, so I guess I'm going to tell you from me sitting in the audience and actually watching it.
Exactly.
So, one of the things that I hardly ever get to do is watch myself perform.
So how was that?
It's weird because you're sitting there, you're nervous, and you're like, you don't know what to expect. You're like, oh my God, did I say the line right? Did it come off good? Was it authentic? Will the audience feel it? Those are my thoughts, you know? While everyone else is just in the moment and watching.
Right.
First time you hear it, like a rhyme to a child, you start to recite it, line after line, the melody keep you moving, turn up the meter, fill the bass at the speaker, don't take me away. Show the wine and go down for me, baby. Show the wine and go down for me, baby. Show the wine and go down.
West Indies are poised for their first series win in 6 years over a high-ranked nation, but will be wary of when they clash with Sri Lanka in the second test starting Thursday. The Windies' last series win over a major nation came when they swept New Zealand 2-0 in the Caribbean back in 2012. But following their emphatic 226-run victory in the opening test in Port of Spain last weekend, the Windies are going into the second test at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground in St. Lucia with a massive confidence boost. Speaking to reporters after a practice session on Wednesday, Captain Jason Holder said the Caribbean men are focused and just need to be consistent in all 3 departments, batting, bowling and fielding over the next few days to beat Sri Lanka again.
All the guys are upbeat about this occasion. We won a series last year against Zimbabwe. We won a few test matches last year against numerous opposition. This is another opportunity for us to win a series. We have 2 test matches to close the series out. We'd like ideally to close out in this game, but I told the guys not to focus on the result. We need to focus on the process. We need to focus on what we need to do in order to win the test match. And as individuals, accepting their roles and performing. Just carrying out their particular roles, and if we string together that as a collective unit, then we get the results we're looking for.
The final test of the series will be an historic day-night encounter at Kensington Oval starting June 26th. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka have been rocked by the departure of former Test captain Angelo Matthews and fast bowler Lahiru Gamage 24 hours ahead of the start of the second test. Matthews, one of the most experienced players in the squad, has returned home for personal reasons. Cricket Sri Lanka said Gamage fractured a finger during the first test in Port of Spain and will take no further part in the series. Replacements batsman Dasun Shanaka and all-rounder Kuthalinka were scheduled to leave Colombo Wednesday evening for the Caribbean but will not arrive in time for the second test at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground. Sri Lanka have never won a series in the Caribbean 3 previous visits, and the departure of Matthews and Gamage will be a further blow to their chances of breaking their jinx. Barbados and Jamaica notched their second straight victories, and Guyana stunned title holders Trinidad and Tobago in the second round of the Windies Women's Championship T20 Blast on Tuesday. Guyana rebounded from their opening defeat to Jamaica to chase down 65 and upset Trinidad and Tobago by 7 wickets at Sabina Park. Centre TNT could only muster 64 for 8 from their 20 overs. In reply to Guyana were in trouble at 36 for 3, but recovered superbly to reach their target with over 5 overs left in the innings. In the second match of the doubleheader, Barbados easily chased down a paltry target of 83 to beat Leeward Islands by 10 wickets under lights. Jamaica was similarly clinical in their execution, restricting the Windwards to 85 for 6 at Kensington Park. They overhauled a target of 86 to defeat Windward Islands by 8 wickets. We get more from Spencer Darlington of TVG Sport.
Batting first, the Windwards were restricted to 85 for 6 as Shadeen Nation bagged 4 for 20. Chanel Henry chipped in with 1 for 7, while Juliana Nero top scored with 27 and Pearl Etienne got 19. In their turn at bat, the Jamaicans lost 2 wickets en route to victory off just 14 overs and 3 balls. Skipper Taylor led the way with an unbeaten 36, while Natasha McLean added 20. Nation was also left unbeaten on 15. Windward skipper Stacey Ann Adams lamented her team's low score, while Jamaican captain Taylor was impressed by the execution of her team.
Both times we actually bowled first and executed well. I think that there's still some areas that we need to improve on. I thought the fielding today was a bit off, and I definitely think that we need to improve. I thought the batting was really good. We executed well in that area.
First of all, I think we didn't score enough runs. The pitch didn't have a lot of demons in it, so we probably could have scored about 130. But then again, our bowlers didn't bowl in the right areas, so we didn't have enough runs, didn't bowl in the right areas. It was a hard game all around.
And that's the sport. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Starts from sunrise, a city filled with an island vibe, music, people, color, friendship, culture, and the warmest of smiles. Come enjoy the unique costumes, pulsating steel pans, exotic culture, exciting fetes, and unforgettable people. Discover Antigua's Carnival, the Caribbean's greatest summer festival, July 27th to August 8th, because the beach really is just the beginning.
So guys, this was the game LeBron James had to win to have any chance of staying alive in the series. So now I'm more than convinced this series is a sweep. I mean, this Golden State Warriors team is on a level of its own. And let's remember, only Kevin Durant on this team had a good game. He had 43 points in 43 minutes.
Again, the major developments of this day. Venezuela is suspending petroleum deliveries to some Caribbean countries under its Petrocaribe agreement because of fallen crude production and low refinery utilization. And in sport, Windies eye a series win as they go into the second of 3 test matches against Sri Lanka, 1-up. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, log on to CarnaNews.com. We'll be back here again tomorrow. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and do have yourselves a good night.